On today's episode of the Regression to the Mean podcast, we have 6 diamonds in the rough in the Dynasty fantasy football streets at the 2025 NFL Combine. I'm your host, Sean Moran. I am joined by my co-host, my good friend, my fellow knower of ball, Aidan. Aidan, it's finally NFL draft prep. We've kind of been dancing around it, teasing it to the audience. This is our time, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Sean. I'm pretty fired up. I can't believe it is. Yeah, it is Friday morning. We are at the NFL Combine in terms of the schedule already, which is pretty nuts. We've been like it's coming up, and here we are. So we are fully immersed in draft prep already. Excited to talk about some of our favorite sleepers. I think a lot of you guys know the big names. You know Gene T, you know Tet, you know some of the bangers at the top of the list. But we're going to get into some fun guys who we still think could make a huge impact this weekend and then translate into Sundays in just a couple of months. So I'm excited. But how you doing, Sean?
I'm good. I'm very excited about today's episode. I've kind of been casually kind of diving in, watching some tape of some of the big names. I have not gone deep cut on some of these prospects. You have a prospect here that I did not know was a legal name in the United States of America. So I'm very excited to dive in, dude. I love it. I love sleepers, and we'll have a varying degree of sleepers. There are going to be some names you recognize. There are going to be some you probably don't. At the end of the day, though, I think we have a good mix here of guys that we think could be good dynasty assets down the road. These are guys that are probably going rounds 2 or later. Maybe one of these guys could sneak into the top half of the second round, but I don't think so.
Two, yeah, maybe two. These will be day 2 and day 3 picks.
Yeah. All right, man. The episode pretty straightforward. We've each got 3 guys. We're gonna break down why we like them, some key facts, what we see on tape a little bit, what kind of comps we have at the NFL level for them. I don't know, man. It's going to be a good episode. I'm sure people have clicked on this thumbnail first time they've ever watched our channel. What should the good people at home be expecting today, Aidan?
Yeah, welcome to the channel. We cover really all facets of fantasy football and kind of football in general. So we'll be talking prospects today. We'll be talking prospects for the next couple of months throughout the summer. We talk in redraft, we talk dynasty, we talk best ball. So we talk a little bit of everything. We keep it pretty light here. We're going to give you some data, some stuff we like, some stuff we don't like, but we're not going to get too into the weeds. So we like to keep it pretty casual, just like you're just shooting the shit on the couch with your buddies is kind of the ultimate goal here on the channel. So let us know what you think. Happy to have you here at the channel. Comment, like, subscribe. Let us know what you think. Yeah, we're always looking for feedback. So excited to have you, and excited to talk these 6 sleepers here to take a look at the NFL Combine this weekend.
All right, man, I'm ready to dive in. We're going to start off here with probably the biggest known commodity out of all these names in college football, at least. Now, if you're not a big college football fan, maybe you don't know this quarterback, but this is a guy or if you're a sizist, if you like big NFL QBs, if you like QBs with big arms, you're probably not going to like this guy. But Dillon Gabriel showed a lot in his, 6 years in college. And he especially showed a lot with his year with the Oregon Ducks. So tell us, Aidan, why you're in on Dillon Gabriel and why you think he's a potential sleeper in dynasty rookie drafts this summer.
Yeah, I think Dillon Gabriel is a really interesting prospect. Just looking at the stats over his career, like this guy did nothing but produce year after year. So, as Sean mentioned, Dillon Gabriel just finished his 6th year at the collegiate level, which at a surface level, you're like, that's a little bit concerning. He's age 24. But you dig into it a little bit more, and it's like, wait, there's a lot to like here. So, just for starters, true freshman breakout season at UCF. The guy was incredible through 2 seasons. If it wasn't for an injury in his 3rd year, likely declaring after 3 or 4 years. Just extremely productive at the collegiate level. Really unfortunate. I don't know, for those of you remember, just like a really nasty leg injury. That was pretty detrimental. So ended up playing 2 more years at Oklahoma before having just an absolutely outstanding year at Oregon this past year. So a couple of things to like here. He's incredibly efficient. You look at the completion percentage, pretty much got better every single year. Capped it off with just over 70% here at Oregon. His senior season averaged 65% over his college. So awesome, awesome stuff there. Very little to offer on the ground. He had just about 150 yards on the ground this year, but did have 7 touchdowns, which is interesting. So, in a pinch, kind of like zone read stuff within the 5, in it, like in the red zone, he can kind of still do some damage. It's not his strength, especially after the leg injury. It's not something that he's all that strong in, but this is someone that I like. I think the top 3 QBs are pretty set in this year's NFL draft. We've got Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and Jackson Dart, kind of in any order you want. But it feels pretty safe to say those are going to be the top 3 QBs in this year's draft. But outside of that, I think we could see a ton of fluctuation. I think we're going to see mocks, we're going to see lists that really have guys varying. You've got other guys like Quinn Ewers, you've got our guy Dillon Gabriel, you've got Tyler Shaw, who's starting to pick up a ton of steam. Like there's a lot of guys in that QB 4 to 6 to 8 range, and there's no reason why Dillon Gabriel can't sneak up there. I think you look at some of the QBs that have succeeded in the NFL recently after playing a ton of collegiate snaps. Look at Jayden Daniels. Look at Bo Nix, his buddy from Oregon, who he just replaced. You look at Brock Purdy. I think, I think we used to knock the collegiate experience a lot more, whereas this is just a really polished collegiate NFL passer at this point. So I get a ton of glimpses of Tua personally. I think the left-handed makes it easier, but just the accuracy, the playing in structure, the way that they play, in my opinion, is very similar. So this is the guy that I like. It, yeah, it's definitely someone to keep an eye on. But how do you feel about Dillon Gabriel? Are we dipping back into the Oregon QB well, or do you have any concerns about the age and his athletic profile?
I think Dillon Gabriel is an interesting prospect. Again, he's on the shorter side. I think maybe he's going to clear 6 foot. I don't know.
Yeah, he's
Was he
six
at the Senior
foot.
Bowl? Is he 6 foot? That's kind of
I'm
NFL
6 foot.
quarterbacks are much like the NFL is kind of like women. If you're over 6 feet, you're like, all right,
Just,
okay,
yeah,
you're gonna
just clear
you're
6 foot.
you'll get a pass. Again, arm strength not that great. He's not super fast. He I wouldn't say has any amazing traits. But Gabriel clearly can run and manage an offense. He has shown an ability to process quickly, and he can play the quarterback position. We've now seen guys play 5, 6 years, come out and look good. Bo Nix, Jayden. I don't think age is being counted against guys as much as it used to. And if you look at Dillon Gabriel, he got better pretty much every year that he played, especially in completion percentage, what you like to see. So I think he's like a safe prospect. Um, I guess Bo Nix is a better prospect because Bo Nix is bigger and has a bigger arm, probably more athletic. But
Yeah, you got the
we're
rushing
seeing
upside too.
guys we're seeing guys thrive in good offensive systems, and I bet you Dillon Gabriel could do that. I'm a Niner fan. I love Brock Purdy. I see some similarities in their game. So yeah, I like Dillon Gabriel as a prospect, and I don't really love the QB prospects in this draft. Um, I don't hate on Shedeur. I think the Shedeur hate is a little strange. I don't think he's an incredible prospect though. I think Shedeur is like a B plus across a lot of stuff. Um, Cam Ward is interesting. He shows flashes, but I think Cam Ward doesn't have a incredible football IQ, but I think he has an incredible confidence, play style, playability, playmaker. So like I think there's some pros and cons in that sense between Cam Ward and Shedeur. I don't know if I'm drinking the Jackson Dart Kool-Aid, but maybe. It's like none of these guys really wow me. And Dillon Gabriel, why not? Why couldn't Dillon Gabriel come in and be good in the NFL? I wouldn't be shocked at all. So I think this is a great call out. Gabriel's going in the third round right now, Dynasty like rankings, from what I can
Yeah,
see.
it's gonna be pretty cheap.
That's a pretty good one. I'd rather have him over the dude from is it Louisville, Tyler Shaw? What's his name that's getting love right now?
Yeah, I think it's Shao, but yeah, he's picking up a ton of steam. Dylan Gabriel
Not
feels a
Gabriel.
lot safer. Yeah, he feels a lot safer. Chow
Gabriel
has
went
one good
off.
season. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
he was like a 60-year breakout. That's like Dillon Gabriel has 5 really good years of collegiate football under his belt at, at high levels every time. So yeah, give me Gabriel for sure over him.
And Gabriel had that huge win against Texas in 2023 when he was at Oklahoma. He ran for
Yep.
100 yards. He threw for like close to 300. He kind of put the
He's
team on
had
his
some big
back and won that
games. Yeah,
game.
he's had some big games.
He's a gamer. He just
Yeah.
is.
Oregon
So
was
yeah, I
really good
do.
this year. Like he was definitely a big part of that. Like that team was loaded, but he's still a big part of that.
I mean, it wasn't as loaded as Bo Nix's Oregon.
No, yeah, Bo Nix had a better Oregon team.
He did. He did. So, yeah, I mean, overall, dude, I think Gabriel's a good call out. I think as a rusher, he brings something interesting. And again, all we're asking for in Dynasty is if you take a QB in like the late second, early third, is like, can this guy be a starter on his rookie contract? And if he is, that is the best pick you could make. If you get a QB who
Dillon
becomes a
Gabriel will
starter on a
start at
rookie
some point in
contract,
the NFL. Yeah.
he's a better. And again, I think he's a better prospect than someone like I'm trying to think who Spencer Rattler. People were enamored with Spencer Rattler. I think Dillon Gabriel is a
Oh
better
yeah,
prospect,
no.
even though he doesn't have the arm talent. I think he's just mentally more there, more mature. So
Yeah,
yeah, dude,
probably
it's a good call out.
profiles as more of a backup, but like a damn good one in my opinion. Like I'd love to have Dillon Gabriel as like a QB2 in the NFL. There's not many open QB jobs right now, but like you never know, man. The NFL's weird.
All it takes is you to come in and just play well. It's really
Just
as
takes
simple as it is.
one Jimmy
It's it.
injury and you're a
Yeah.
7th round starter, just like that.
All right, moving on to our next guy here. We are staying in Oregon, the Pacific Northwest, and we're going to talk about his wide receiver one, Tez Johnson here. Tez Johnson is a very interesting prospect. When I was doing a bunch of research for last year's class and was trying to think if Troy Franklin could be any good, I was watching some tape on just Oregon in general for Bo Nix. Tez Johnson stood out on tape much more than Troy Franklin did, in my opinion. What Tez was doing was just so maybe because he's so tiny, it's just so visually, it just pops, right? And it captures your attention more. But Tez Johnson had 2 massive years at Oregon after transferring from Troy. And again, if you don't know Tez's backstory, he's Bo Nix's adopted brother. I don't know if you knew that. Um, could be a Bronco, who knows? But
You
Tez is a
said
very interesting. Yeah,
he's
he's
his
Bo Nix's
adopted brother?
adopted brother. Yeah,
That can't be
yeah,
right.
interesting. No, it is. They're brothers.
That's
Um,
crazy.
it's very legally brothers, so it's kind of wild. But Tez Johnson played 5 years in college, most recently at Oregon. So 2023, 2024 at Oregon. Spent the first 3 years of his collegiate career at Troy. I would call his first breakout 700 yards in 2021, 856 in 2022 at Troy. So he broke out at Troy before transferring over to Oregon. He transferred with Bo Nix in 2023. If you're going to make a comp, probably going to comp him to Tank Dell. That feels like the comp that's flying around. But when you weigh 156 pounds and you're 5'9", and you're kind of a slot only player who's super shifty, it's pretty natural to go to the Tank Dell comp. So
It's
somehow
such an
he's a
easy comp. It's
smaller.
such an easy comp.
It's he's a smaller Tank Dell, which seems kind of wild to say. 2024, his stats were spectacular. 83 receptions, 900 yards, 10 TDs, 2.6 yards per route run. What's even crazier is he was much better in 2023. 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns, a 3.45 yards per route run. If you look at his PFF grade, 7th best ranked wide receiver in the 2025 class in 2024, 4th in 2023. If you're trying to see Tez Johnson and get an understanding of like what he can bring to the table as a player, I think you have to look at the tape that he put up against Penn State in the Big Ten championship game. He went for 11 receptions, 181 yards, and a tug, was dominating out of the slot in a game. That was probably the biggest game of Oregon's season until they played Ohio State. So yeah, big time player at a big time program in Tez Johnson. I personally think he's been the best offensive player for them over the past 2 years. Now that's saying something. I think Tez was their best player when I look at the tape. And again, this is one of the best programs in college football. So you'd love that. He is a slot only player. He's not going to play outside. 93% of the snaps in the slot this season and last season. He's a slot only player. He's fast. He's got long speed, but he's also quick. good burst, lateral speed. He's shifty as hell too. He's a missed tackle force machine, which we love to see when a player has the ball in their hands. He is a smaller Tank Dell though. Like that's not a typo, Aiden. He is smaller than Tank Dell. Hopefully, whatever coach gets him doesn't have him play fullback. We're already off to a much better start if that occurs for Tez
Your days are
Johnson.
numbered, Bobby Slowick. Never forget.
Run, pass, Bobby. I can't believe that happened. I still can't believe that happened. So, what are your thoughts here on Tez Johnson?
Yeah, I like him. This is a guy that I've liked for months. Just like going back to last season, you mentioned like he's small, but like he doesn't look small on tape. Like he's still consistently beating people. He's still consistently breaking tackles. Like this is a guy that, to your point, can excel at the NFL level. I think like we're slowly breaking down that size barrier with some of these smaller guys winning. Like the guy that I think of too that's like a little bigger than him, but like a similar playing style is Khalil Shakir. I think like there's no reason he can't be like a Khalil Shakir type. The way that Buffalo uses him, it's very similar with the short and intermediate stuff, and just winning by breaking tackles and just being elusive. So to your point, yeah, 2 really strong years in a row at Oregon, which is good. He's a fifth-year guy. So he had 3 years at Troy, but his third year at Troy was pretty phenomenal too. A really impressive year there before moving into one of the Power Five conferences. And yeah, to your point, dominating. 2023 was pretty fantastic, but the tape on 2024 was still really special. So yeah, this is a guy that I like. I'd guess he's probably a day two guy.
Probably.
I'd be shocked if he slides into day three, but this is a day two guy that someone's going to spend valuable draft capital on that should be getting snaps pretty early on. So, yeah, with the modern NFL and the way slot receivers are being used, that this is a guy that's going to play. That I'm excited to. Do you know if he returned kicks or anything at all? Like, is there a role with him returning? I couldn't find any. I don't think so, right?
I don't think he did, but he's got that skill for sure. I mean,
Yeah, he's got the
his
twitch.
short
He's
area
got the wiggle.
quickness is legit. He makes guys
Yeah,
miss in the open field.
because I'm like maybe he makes his bread early on, like as a a part time slot role, and also return punts or kicks. I don't know. But yeah, no, I like Tez. The tape is so fun. Like I love watching dudes. It just seems like no one can tackle them, and that's what you see with Tez Johnson. Is just like a knack for finding space, getting loose, and getting an extra 5-10 yards. So yeah, the yak is really fun to watch on tape with him.
Guys, this might be a draft crush. Uh, I think we're early draft crush here. And I'm not gonna get my hopes up because this is the exact type of player I like who burns me. But I'm just gonna throw this out here that I really like watching Harold Fannin Jr., the tight end out of Bowling Green, and I think this guy is a total sleeper. Even though he's on a lot of people's radars, some people have him as tight end 3, some people have him as tight end 4. So I don't think he's that big of a sleeper, but I do think he's a bit of a divisive prospect because one, small school guy. Two, he's a bit of a tweener. So he's not like that true prototypical tight end size. So I think some people are going to say, this guy's like kind of like a specialty novelty type player. Or this guy is legitimately a great NFL prospect. I'm starting to lean that he's more of a legit great NFL prospect because my goodness, my goodness, the stats that Harold Fannin Jr. put up as a 20-year-old true junior. This man went for 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns. I believe he had the highest receiving grade of any player in college football for PFF across tight ends and wide receivers.
The
They had
numbers
this guy
are
graded.
bonkers this year. The numbers are bonkers.
And again, you guys are probably thinking, okay, rolling your eyes a little bit. He played at Bowling Green. But the numbers he put up against top competition were insane. He played Penn State and Texas A&M to open up the year, right? So again, Penn State played in the national championship game. Texas A&M, they're going to have guys to be drafted in the NFL. Against Penn State, 11 receptions, 137 yards, and a touchdown. Against Texas A&M, 8 receptions, 145 yards, and a touchdown. This isn't some dude just dominating lesser competition. This is a 20-year-old who won't turn 21 until July, going off against Penn State and Texas A&M, which is huge. Things that you love to see with him. He broke out as a sophomore. So 623 yards and 6 touchdowns as a sophomore. Really impressive stuff. He's young. He's a true junior. He dominated against top competition. When I look at his comps, I think a natural one is Jonnu Smith. Don't you think? Like it's a similar type tweener player, good hands, super athletic,
Yeah.
can make guys
You could talk
miss.
me into it like Isaiah Likely too. In terms of like, I think Likely is a bit more athletic, but in terms of like pass first tight end, like Fannin's not really going to block. He does hit profile well as a blocker, but
It's not
that's okay.
bad though.
That
His PFF
it's
grades on
okay.
blocking
Yeah.
aren't bad, but it's a good call. He's not good in pass pro, but he
No, he's not.
actually has decent grades in blocking and in the run blocking, especially in
Yeah.
zone blocking schemes. He has good grades. A lot of teams run zone. Shanahan, McVay, they run zone. So he could be a fit potentially in those offenses as what we call a move tight end, which is more of a specialty tight end. But I think ideally what I like about Fannin, hybrid player based off of alignment. He lined up 32% of the time in the slot, 26% of the time in line, and 38% outside. And when you watch him run routes, dude, he's one of the stiffer players I've seen in the lower body. It doesn't make sense. He has such a weird running style, and his hips are so stiff. So it's kind of weird to watch him play. But he gets open. You don't think he's going to be able to get open because he's so stiff in his lower body. But he's quick, and he has that size, and he gets open. And what he reminds me of is like what I imagine AJ Brown's going to look like when he's like 34, like kind of stiff, kind of slow.
Still getting
Dude,
it
he's
done.
out there.
Yeah.
He's out there looking like AJ Brown at Bowling Green. Like I'm not saying
Dude,
he's
he's a
AJ Brown, but
beast.
if you watch him when the way he runs and his size, it looks like AJ Brown. His hands are incredible too. Like he has amazing hands. He catches
He
everything.
has 3 drops his entire career. 3 his entire
Bro,
career.
his hands are amazing. Like I cannot
Yeah.
get over his hands. And when you look at some of the nerd stats that people love, he had 50% of their receiving yards. It kind of nuts, bro. He had a 50
Is that
receiving
right?
dominator.
That's
Yes.
insane.
Receiving yards market share 50%, 30% as a 19-year-old true sophomore. Like look, he is super young. He's a tweener. He could go to a wrong system and it completely falls on his face. I would not be shocked. But this guy has something. And if he tests well and is splashy, I could see a team talking themselves into drafting him early day 2 because of how young he is, because of his athletic profile. I think he'd be such a natural fit with the Dolphins because we just saw it with Jonnu. And dude, like, I know I'm a Niner fan, so biased here, but he would be such a fun piece with George Kittle. Because I do imagine him when he starts his career probably not being a full-time tight end, but when he starts his career in the first couple of years, maybe having that Isaiah Likely type role. Aiden, that's a good call out. I don't know if he's like 1-to-1 likely, but he could have that role out of the gates where he complements another tight end or other pieces in the offense. But as he matures, he might get a bigger role. So man, I as you can tell, I've really gotten excited about Fannin. Do you have a read? Is this a guy who just fizzles out? He's too small, won't get it done. What do you
I
think?
like him. He's definitely not too small, Sean. He at 6'4", 230. This is
Is he a
that
true
size. That like
6'4", 230 though? Like do we are we
that's what
think we're
I
getting
see.
rug pulled?
Who cares? Maybe he's 6'3", but like that's still a big dude against linebackers and nickel corners. That's a fucking nightmare. If I'm a nickel corner staring up at Harold Fannin Jr., I'm trying to find it. I'm pretty sure he led the country in missed tackles forced too.
He had
Dude was just an
34
absolute
as a receiver. Yeah, which is
at,
freaking nuts.
dude, like at the tight end position. Like I don't know. It's like there's too many stats you can point at and be like, like a one-off here, you'd be like, okay, well, like it was just a lot of targets. It's like, no, but he's also not dropping it, and he's also breaking tackles, and it's like there's so many different things to really like about Harold Fannin Jr. And I think it's easy to knock on the small school thing. It's like it's Bowling Green, who gives a shit? But like the tape doesn't lie. Tape doesn't lie. Still dominated against like real collegiate programs, Power 5 schools. So I'm excited. This figures to probably another day 2 guy. Be
Yeah.
shocked if he makes it out of day 2. We'll get probably how many tight ends do you think make it into round 1 this year? Like 1 or 2?
2. I think Loveland and Warren are locks. Depends
Yeah, I
how the
think
other
those 2.
guys test. But
But then I
Arroyo,
think, yeah,
you got the guy from
Arroyo's crazy
Texas.
route running too. Yeah.
Yeah, Arroyo is the really fluid big, like insane. But Arroyo has a
Yeah.
crazy injury history, like crazy bad injury history. So I don't know.
Yeah, but I think Fannin goes by the end of day 2 for sure. Which again means like he's going to be used. Like you don't use a day 2 pick. Oh my god, just to ride the pine, especially at the tight end position with like how often teams are running 2 tight end sets these days. Like there's no reason that Harold Fannin's not seeing the field day 1. So this is a fun one. Sure, like people know of him, but I think he's kind of still getting knocked like for the name on his helmet. So I'm excited to see how this shakes out and where he lands because this could be a really fun pick in your Dino drafts, probably in like the second round. There's
Oh
no way he
baby,
makes it into round 1, but yeah, he's going to be there in the mid late second round, maybe even early third. And this could be a really really fun pick, especially in tight end premium leagues.
he is really a fascinating prospect. He really is.
Yes,
You got it, guys. I would throw up his highlights on YouTube, but then we get flagged for it, and we can't monetize. Just please go watch some Harold Fannin highlights against
do it,
Texas A&M.
do it.
Crazy because he's winning. He's winning behind the line of scrimmage, short, intermediate, long. There really isn't a hole in his game except for the
No,
fact that he runs weird. Like he runs really weird. It's
he's a tight end though, man. Like they're weird big guys. Like yeah, like just let him rock.
all right. I think that's enough glazing, as the kids would say, of Harold
Yeah,
Fannin, uh, who I'm 8 years older than. That made me feel a little old, being 8 years older than this guy.
crazy, crazy.
Yeah. All right. Next prospect here, Big 12 wide receiver. So we're already off to a hot start. But why are you in on? It's not Elijah Higgins. Oh my goodness, what's his
Jaden,
name? Jayden
uh,
Higgins. Where did Elijah
Jaden
come from?
Higgins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jayden Higgins, baby. Why are you
J-
in on the Cyclone
Jaden
receiver?
Higgins is a really interesting guy. And like this is another guy where like you just watch the tape and it's just like it's just silky smooth, man. So Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State. 2-year guy there. So he played his first 2 years at Eastern Kentucky before moving over to Iowa State, where he really broke out in his junior year. You can see back-to-back really impressive years, just under 1,000 yards at 6 tutties his junior year, and then just an absolute dominant year this year. Like the receptions went way up from 53 to 87, yards increased by about another 200 on the nose, and a couple more touchdowns too, which we like. So was just under that 10 threshold, and the tape is just really impressive. So looking at Jaden Higgins, 6'4", 215, pretty prototypical size. You got a guy that can play really any position there, whether it be X, Z, your slot. You can move a guy like Jaden Higgins all the way around, which they did last year, Sean. You may note of it is he did play the slot quite often and at 30%, which is nice. So it's someone that has experience at all 3 positions. In my opinion, this is a guy that like really profiles as a Z in the NFL. He kind of lacks that like top end speed and like true athleticism needed for a wide receiver 1 in the NFL. But you look at the route running, he's got a 3% drop rate. Everything is just really damn smooth. Like this is the guy that, in my opinion, could slot in as a wide receiver 2, like right away at the NFL level. With his skill set, you watch the tape and it's just like consistently getting in and out of cuts so easily. The body control at the catch point is so polished for a guy that is still just 22 years old. So it's a guy that I like. I comped him to a guy that came out of Iowa State just a couple of years ago in Xavier Hutchinson. Is I think there's a lot of similarities. You've got some nicer comps. Who do you see in on Jaden Higgins here?
You see some Michael Pittman, for
Yep.
sure. I think Jayden Higgins profiles as a interesting big slot receiver. So I could
Yeah.
see him being a very dependable slot receiver at the next level. Um, and he's not even close as a prospect. But if you like Tet McMillan, like, and you're a big fan of Tet McMillan's game, there's a lot of similarities because they're both 6'4". They're both really agile in the short area, getting open, strong hands. Tet is way faster, way shiftier. Tet can house plays. Higgins doesn't have that long speed, But Higgins is really good at in the short area, and his agility for his size is impressive at 6'4".
Yeah, it's not the sexiest wide receiver pick. Don't get me wrong. But again, like this is another day two pick. Like Jayden Higgins is probably call it, I don't know, wide receiver 8, wide receiver 10, probably somewhere in that range. Like you guys know the top names, like some of the guys that are going to go ahead of him, but this is still a really talented guy in Jayden Higgins. So I'm excited to see where he goes and kind of what wide receiver room he gets slotted into. As there's a lot of experience, lot to like here. Like you don't really need the top. Like there's plenty of guys that aren't 4-4 burners succeeding at the NFL level. He probably profiles more like a 4-5 guy, which at that point, sure, man, that's doesn't seem like much, but like it really is to some degree. So we'll see though. Yeah, this is a guy that really stood out though. As I've started digging into this year's wide receivers.
Shuttle and 3-cone will be huge at the combine. I'd like to see how agile he is because I don't
Yeah,
expect him to be a burner. He doesn't have that on tape in
no,
my opinion. But if he shows that agility in that burst, I think that'll be big
yep,
because his hands
yep.
are sure. It's sure-handed. He's got great hands for sure.
Pittman's ceiling would be nice, and I think that's pretty fair. And then we'll call Hutchinson the floor, which I guess isn't all that exciting, but Pittman's fun.
No. Yeah, I like Higgins. I think I like his teammate more though. Jalen Noel he's a big
They're
play
both
guy.
really. I know. So I was debating which one I wanted because I think Higgins is a safer like NFL player to your point, whereas Jalen Noel's really fun though, like big play guy, but
He's
he's not
sick.
like but like he's not a target dominator by any means. So it's like it'll be interesting because they're actually really not ranked all that far apart. It's kind of like a choose your flavor with those two guys. Like both had really productive Senior Bowl weeks too. Like they were both generating a ton of buzz. So I think these are guys that are on NFL teams' radars for sure. Both of the receivers.
And it makes his 2024 really impressive, Higgins, even in
Yeah.
2023, because he is competing with another guy who will play in the NFL. So
Yes.
when you look at this receiving dominator and it's at close to 40, 28 is junior, it's pretty
Yeah.
solid. It's pretty
Yeah. What did
solid.
Noel do again? I'm just pulling up his stats. Yeah, they
He
both went
Noel
for
went off. Yeah, they both went off
yeah, they
over a
both went
thousand.
for 12. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. God, man, they both went off. That was awesome.
Yeah, the good receiving core, and also you love to see it when it mattered the most. 7 from 115 for Higgins in the conference championship game. So yeah, there's a lot to like with Higgins. I
Yep.
think he's a good prospect for sure, and he could be a guy that could be a very productive PPR asset in
Yes.
Dynasty that you can get relatively cheap. So I think that's a good one. We got to talk a couple running backs.
Let's do it. Yeah, we got 2 running backs. We're not gonna leave you high and dry. It is a running back year, so it's only right that we do it.
It's kind of tough because it's like you want to talk about diamonds in the rough at running back, but you're like, I'd rather talk about the high end guys because they're
I
just so
know,
good. But
but we'll
these
get
two
to
guys
them.
are good. Yes,
We're
we'll,
gonna
we'll
get to
get to
them.
we'll,
Like,
we'll get to
yeah, we're gonna get to
Jinky
the
and
good guys.
Caleb and Travion and Judkins and Amari and Hampton. It's just it's an embarrassment of riches, guys, at the running back position. But we will start off with I think someone who's a little bit more under the radar. And the two names that we have are like straight up Key and Peele names from the Senior Bowl sketch or whatever, because
Yeah, you want
they're
to do
too
mine
good.
first or yours? Yeah,
We'll do mine. Lequint Allen, the running back
there
here
we
that we
go.
got from
Fuck yeah.
from from Syracuse. Lequint Allen, true junior. He's 20 years old. He'll be 21 in August. If I want to comp him to a player in the NFL, it's tough because he's 6 feet tall and he's like 200 pounds. It's not the prototypical build that you see at a running back position. So it's a little weird watching him play. I would say though, if you're going to have to comp him, he's like a skinnier, slimmer Rashad White, Alvin Kamara type. Because these,
Yeah.
these these are 3 down running backs who are really good as pass catchers. But if you look at the 2024 stats, really really impressive. 1,550 total yards, 1,021 as a rusher, 529 receiving, second most receiving yards as a running back in college football. He had 20 total touchdowns in 2024, which is pretty nuts when you think about it. And this is his receiving. I'll pull up his rushing here so you get a better understanding. What I really like, he's a 3-down player. He is excellent aiding in goal to go. He's really good at the goal line. He is a fantastic pass catcher. I wouldn't say he's incredible in pass protection, but he's pretty solid. Like he can play on the he can stay on the field. He's competitive. He's gotten better each year as a blocker. He's a violent runner, but he's light. I think he has good vision. He lacks top end speed though. He's not going to be a high pick in my opinion because of that. But man, it's a natural pass catcher, Aiden. Like it looks natural when he's running routes, and he abused linebackers in space. So I think his frame maybe could prevent him from being an every down player in the NFL, but I think he's a diamond in the rough because this is someone that no one's really talking about that really does have a potential to be a 3-down player. He's different than Chase Brown because Chase Brown is explosive as all hell, but Chase Brown was kind of a hidden kind of 3-down player. Aiden called him out 2 years ago, by the way, in our prospect draft. I'll never forget it
Chase
dropping
Brown.
the Chase Brown. Yeah, you were.
I've
Like,
been in
you
love
were
with Chase Brown for years. I almost gave up on him actually, but I felt like even like deeper in love with him as the year went on.
He isn't Chase Brown in terms of like athleticism. Maybe he has a good combine. I don't know, but he's just this kind of like hidden guy that really could be a 3-down player, because 228 attempts is pretty damn good in back-to-back seasons. He might even had a better 2023 as a rusher, but what he did as a receiver, as a junior, ultra impressive. And he had big games against some of the biggest competition. You know, he went off against Miami, which is pretty big. And he had a big game against Cal. So he had some big games in conference play. So I'm in on Lequint. Have you had a chance to watch much Lequint? Are you familiar with his game?
No, I have not. We both pulled pretty deep in the running back. Well, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm glad we did because I got to watch him a little bit, but it's not someone that I got to watch a ton. But to your point, like it's not the sexiest profile in terms of everything he's done, but like you look at the production and it's pretty impressive. Coming out as a true junior too, like we like early breakouts. The guy rushed for over 1,000 yards as what a 19-year-old and 9 touchdowns, backed it up with another 1,000 yards, 16 touchdowns. So found the end zone even more often. I think you touched on it too. Like the receiving got a lot better year over year, 17 catches to 38 catches to 64 catches. This is a guy that can absolutely play all 3 downs on the field. So he even returned a couple of kicks this year. So good for him. That's pretty impressive. But yeah, this is a guy that'll be interesting. This is a day 3 pick. But as someone that's going to get a chance to play in a running back rotation, like this running back class is just so deep. Like in any other year, we're probably talking about him a bit higher, maybe even a day 2 pick, but like he's probably running back 10 or beyond, just given the pure just like embarrassment of riches that we have this year at the running back position. Is this the comp machine? Who we got
his
here?
comp
Or what is this?
is
Yeah.
his highest his most similar player is Bucky Irving. I did not plan this. But the comp machine is saying that he profiles
that
pretty
threw me
similar.
off that it said Marquise. I forgot his real name.
Marquise Irving, but that's Bucky Irving. Other guys that are closer,
name.
Patrick Laird, and Jameer Gibbs. So some fun names for sure. Some names we know. You see some Kenneth Gainwell down there. That honestly could make sense too. But yeah, overall, dude, great profile. And we want PPR running backs who can block, and he can do that. So I think
I got him at like running back 13 on the first list I saw. Yeah,
it's a deep cut. Lequint Allen is a deep cut, man.
But it's not too deep. Like it's not too deep. Like there's a lot deep. Mine's probably even a little deeper.
Let's get to yours. How do you? Is his name Bhayshul Tuten? Is that how you say his name?
I think it's Bhayshul.
That might be a 101 name in this draft, and there are a lot of good names. There's a guy named John Campbell, which is just amazing.
This might be the name that I go. Jihad. That is Sean McDermott's licking his chops on that one.
Unbelievable middle linebacker who runs a 4.3. Named Jihad.
But I think it's Bhayshul. It could be one that I go back and forth with, like Kyron. I don't know. I'm just gonna just go both ways until someone gets on my ass. But this one's pretty fun too. This probably around the same range. Lists have these guys probably like both around RB kind of like 12 to 15 range. So not going to be drafted till day 3, but should make an impact at the NFL level at some point. So played at Virginia Tech. This is a guy that transferred after 2 years. So has played 4 years at the collegiate level, is 22 years old. Really broke out as a sophomore though. His sophomore year is pretty impressive, totaling up what do we got? Like 1,700 total
Yeah,
yards
he went off. He
between
went
rushing and
off.
passing. So, yeah, North Carolina,
A
and
and
M or something.
T.
Yeah, A&T.
Yeah,
I had to look. I was like, what the hell is this again? Oh yeah, it's below you right there. His junior year was fine. Like I think the rushing dipped a little. Did he miss? He had to miss games his junior year. Yeah.
he
Uh,
played in
no,
13
he didn't.
games. He
Okay.
actually played more games his junior year than he
Okay.
did his senior
So
year.
the junior year took a dip in terms of efficiency. Like you can just see it by the yards per carry, like really every metric, but still got in the end zone 10 times. But 2024, uber productive. 17 overall touchdowns, about 1,200 total yards. But what I really like about him is this dude could just fucking burn.
Burn.
Insanely quick. Probably going to run somewhere in the low 4.3s, maybe mid 4.3s this weekend, which in my opinion, he has to. He's not the biggest guy. He's like 5'9", 210. So like, which is fine. Like we've got plenty of running backs in the NFL at that size. A comp that I saw that I thought was really interesting was Lamar Miller. I think he profiles pretty similar to Lamar Miller in terms of like he's small, but he can still excel in between the tackles, especially in like a zone concept. So we'll see. He's gonna have to test pretty well at the combine. Like, there's no way around that. Just again, just given how what do we got here? Damn it! Oh wow, there's H-Chain at the bottom. But we'll see. I think this is a guy that's more of a situational player. In college he was a 3-down guy, but I think special teams and like nailing his combine are going to be pretty big for him. But what do you think about our guy, Mr. Tuten?
I mean, his speed adjusted 40 is going to be crazy. Like because
Yeah, it's going to be pretty
he's
damn fast. I think.
he's stocky. He's like 5'9", 211.
Yeah.
He's got that Ray Rice fire hydrant build when you're watching him. So I
Yeah,
definitely saw
no,
that.
that's a good call.
I saw he reminded me a little bit of Tyjae Spears, uh,
Yep.
but thicker, playing better competition. I was shook. He is really good. He is so fast. He is so unbelievable, guys. This guy is
Like next
so
level, yeah,
fast.
yeah,
It is
next level speed.
crazy. He erases pursuit angles. Because he had a couple home runs. I only really like to watch these guys against like when they play their toughest competition.
Yeah,
And what's interesting is he played at North Carolina A&T. They played one Power 5 team, Duke, his sophomore year. We had a really good game against Duke. So it's like I like to see that when you're lesser competition playing up to your competition, like showing you belong in the ACC. And that's no surprise that he ended up at Virginia Tech. So yeah, dude, I think he's just fast as hell. It's real speed. And he's a 3-down player.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
another Chase Brown type. Like seriously, this guy
It is
could.
another Chase Brown type.
It's a
Yeah.
Chase Brown type.
Oh man,
Because Chase Brown's
I'm gonna
bigger.
fall in love again
Why did people sleep on Chase Brown? Because the guy like had like 500 touches his last year
because he went
at
to
Illinois,
because he
and
went to
he's
State.
fast and
Or
big.
yeah, no, yeah, you're right. It was Illinois. Yeah, it's because he went to
Man,
Illinois. I don't know, but like Big Ten backs, we like those. Like we like those.
and one of the biggest indicators of future success, and one of the things that you can always bet on in dynasty drafts later on, it's like, did the guy force missed tackles? Like the big two last year that people liked were Audric Estime and Bucky Irving. We didn't really see it much with Estime. We kind of did. He just kept fumbling, but we saw it with Bucky Irving. So like if you're taking a dart throw on a running back in later in dynasty drafts, or even if you're playing redraft, did the guy force tackles? It's just tried and true predictor of success at the next level. So this guy forced a shit ton of missed tackles, and he's fast as hell. It's a really good combination. I think this is a great sleeper, Aidan.
Yeah, we'll see. It's an interesting one. I just love the speed. Uber productive the last couple of years. So
Love the speed, baby.
I fucking love speed. Like when I'm watching tape and you just see guys absolutely dust people, I'm like, yeah, I like that. I absolutely like that.
All right, we got 6 guys: Dillon Gabriel, Tez Johnson, Harold Fannin. Hey, why do I keep forgetting Higgins' name? Jayden Higgins.
Jade.
Yeah, Bhayshul Tuten. Great name. And our
Unreal name.
guy Lequint Allen. We ended with some fun names. That was 6 sleepers at the NFL Combine. Man, I can't wait to talk about some of the blue chip guys in this draft because, oh baby,
It's gonna be
they
fun.
are. We're gonna do a little matchmaker where we're gonna try and match these guys to some teams that we think are good, and then we'll probably do more of this sleeper content as we get the actual combine testing numbers, because there are gonna be some guys that really pop afterwards. But all right, Aiden,
Yep.
this was a great time, man. Always good to talk NFL draft prospects. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Until next time.